Lily and Daisy were twin sisters, as alike as two peas in a pod. They both had the same shiny brown hair that fell past their shoulders, and eyes the color of warm honey. When they smiled, a little dimple appeared on their left cheek, making them look even more identical. Grown-ups often mix them up, calling Lily Daisy and Daisy Lily, which always made them giggle. But even though they looked exactly the same on the outside, their minds were like two different worlds. Lily was a sunshine girl. She found joy in small things, like the way a bird sang in the morning or the smell of fresh rain. She carried a little worn-out Bible with her, and one verse, Psalm chapter 23, verse 5, was her favorite. It talked about God preparing a feast for you even when your enemies are watching, and filling your cup until it overflows. Lily believed that, no matter how tough things got, good things would always come, and there was always enough. She trusted that someone good was looking out for her. This belief made her calm and kind, ready to share a smile or a helping hand with anyone who needed it. Daisy, on the other hand, was a worrier. She saw the clouds before she saw the sun. If good things happened, she wondered when the bad things would start. Daisy believed you had to fight for everything you got in life. She thought if you didn't work super hard and worry about every little detail, things would fall apart. Her cup always felt half empty, and she often felt like she had to do everything by herself. When Lily would talk about her special verse, Daisy would just shake her head. "That's nice, Lily," she'd say, "but you have to make your own feast. No one's going to do it for you." Their different ways of seeing the world made them unique, even if no one could tell them apart just by looking. Lily's quiet strength came from a place deep inside her heart, a place fed by the words of Psalm chapter 23, verse 5. She had learned it when she was a little girl, sitting on her grandmother's lap, and the words had stayed with her ever since. "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." To Lily, this wasn't just old words in a book. It was a promise, a secret key to living a happy life. She tried to live by it every single day. If a friend was sad, Lily would bring them a small treat, like a cookie or a pretty flower, making a table for them right there. If someone was feeling left out, she'd make sure they were included, pouring kindness into their cup until it felt full. When she faced a tough chore, like weeding the garden under the hot sun, she wouldn't grumble. Instead, she'd hum a little tune, imagining the cool oil anointing her head, giving her strength and peace. She believed that even when things looked bad, like having enemies or troubles around, there was always a way to find good. One sunny afternoon, while Daisy was busy making a long list of all the things she needed to do, Lily was carefully mending a tear in her favorite blanket. "Why bother with that old thing, Lily?" Daisy asked, not looking up from her list. "You should just get a new one. It's faster." Lily just smiled. "This blanket has so many memories, Daisy. And besides, fixing it makes me feel like I'm taking care of what I have. It's like my cup overflowing, you know? Being thankful for what's already here." Daisy just sighed and went back to her list, shaking her head at her sister's gentle ways. She just couldn't see the world through Lily's eyes. While Lily found comfort in her faith, Daisy saw the world through a different lens, one clouded with worries. For Daisy, the idea of a cup overflowing simply didn't make sense unless you were the one filling it, drop by careful drop. She didn't believe in waiting for good things to happen. She believed in making them happen, and that often meant a lot of hard work and even more worrying. "You can't just wish for things, Lily," Daisy would often say, a frown line appearing between her eyebrows. "You have to plan and save and make sure everything is just right. What if that table you talk about isn't there? What if your cup is empty? Then what?" Daisy's mind was a busy place, always making lists, checking them twice, and then worrying if she'd forgotten anything. If a dark cloud appeared in the sky, Lily would admire the way the light played through it. Daisy would instantly wonder if she had remembered to close the windows, or if the garden would be ruined by too much rain. She felt that relying on a verse or on someone else was foolish. It felt like giving up control, and control was very important to Daisy. She'd seen people wait for good things, and sometimes those good things never came. So she decided early on that she would be the one to make her own good fortune. This made her very good at her chores and very good at saving her money, but it also made her very tired. Her shoulders were often tense, and she rarely truly relaxed. She saw Lily's peacefulness as a kind of dreaminess, something that wasn't practical for the real world. For Daisy, the world was a place you had to conquer, not a place where good things just showed up. The quiet hum of their peaceful town, Willow Creek, was suddenly shattered one evening. The sky, which had been a clear, friendly blue all day, turned a bruised purple. The wind began to whistle, then howl, and soon it was thrashing against the houses like an angry giant. A terrible storm had arrived, unannounced and fierce. Rain hammered down, turning small streams into raging rivers. Trees bent and snapped, their branches flying through the air like thrown spears. The lights flickered, then went out completely, plunging everything into darkness. By morning, the storm had moved on, but it left behind a scene of sadness and mess. Willow Creek looked like a giant had stomped through it. Homes had broken windows and torn roofs. Roads were blocked by fallen trees and mud. The little bridge over the creek, where children loved to skip stones, was gone. People walked out of their damaged houses, their faces pale and worried. The general store, usually bustling with laughter, had a huge tree limb crashed through its roof. It was clear this wasn't just a small problem. It was a big challenge that would make life hard for everyone. The air was filled with the sounds of dripping water, distant sirens, and the sad cries of small children. Neighbors gathered, speaking in hushed tones about what they had lost and how they would ever fix it all. Food supplies were low, and the power was out, meaning no warm meals or lights after dark. A heavy feeling settled over the town, a blanket of worry and uncertainty. This was the kind of tough time that would test everyone, even the twins, in ways they hadn't known before. When the storm finally calmed and the gray light of morning peeked through the broken clouds, Lily took a deep breath. Their own small cottage had lost a few shingles, and a window in the kitchen was cracked, but it was mostly safe. While others rushed around in a panic, Lily closed her eyes for a moment, letting the words of Psalm chapter 23, verse 5 whisper in her mind. "You prepare a table before me, my cup overflows." She held on to the feeling that even now, in this messy, scary time, there would be enough, and good things would come. She didn't waste a moment worrying. Instead, she tied a scarf over her hair and stepped outside. Her first thought wasn't about her broken window, but about her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Gable, who lived alone. Lily quickly checked on her, helping to sweep away some fallen leaves and making sure Mrs. Gable had enough water. Then, she looked at the few canned goods and candles they had. "We don't have much, but we have some," she told Daisy, who was already frowning. Lily carefully packed a small bag with a can of beans and a candle. "Mr. Henderson down the street has 3 little ones, and his roof looks very bad. They might be cold and hungry." Daisy looked doubtful, but Lily was already heading out the door, her heart light. She shared her small offerings with a kind smile, listening to people's worries and offering gentle words of hope. She knew that even a little bit of help, given with a trusting heart, could make a big difference when everything felt broken. She truly believed that things would get better, and her calm spirit was like a warm blanket in the cold, uncertain air. While Lily moved with a quiet purpose, Daisy was a whirlwind of frantic energy and fear. The damage to their little cottage, even though it was less than others, felt like a huge mountain to her. Her mind raced with all the what-ifs. What if the roof leaked more? What if they ran out of food? What if the power never came back on? Every fallen branch and every broken shingle felt like a personal attack. "Lily, you can't just give away our food," Daisy cried, her voice tight with worry as Lily headed out with the small bag. "We need it! We need to fix this window and clear these branches and find some way to get electricity back. No one else is going to do it for us!" Daisy grabbed a broom, trying to sweep away wet leaves, but the wind kept blowing more in, and the task felt endless. She tried to lift a heavy branch that had fallen near their door, straining with all her might, but it wouldn't budge. Tears pricked her eyes. She felt a knot of panic in her stomach. Every problem seemed to grow bigger and bigger, a giant wall she couldn't climb. She tried to make a list of things to fix, but the list just kept growing, and she didn't know where to even start. She wanted to fix everything, to make it all right again, just like she always did. But this time, it was too much. The storm had broken more than just windows. It had broken Daisy's sense of control. She sank onto a wet step, feeling completely overwhelmed and alone, even with Lily nearby. She looked at her hands, trembling slightly, and wished she had a magic wand to make it all go away. As Daisy sat shivering, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders, a quiet comfort began to spread through Willow Creek. It was Lily, moving from house to house, a small flashlight in her hand as evening began to fall. She wasn't just giving out food or candles. She was giving out hope. She listened patiently to Mrs. Gable's fears about her broken roof and held Mr. Henderson's youngest child while he tried to clear debris. Lily didn't say, "Don't worry," in a way that sounded empty. Instead, she'd say, "We will find a way, pull together," and her gentle eyes made people believe her. Soon, other neighbors started to notice. Seeing Lily share her small resources and offer a kind word made some feel less alone. A few people who had been hiding in their damaged homes began to peek out. They saw Lily and felt a tiny spark of warmth, like a small candle flame in the dark. Lily organized a small group to help clear a path to the well, and her calm instructions made the big task seem less scary. Even Daisy, still huddled on the step, couldn't help but notice. From her spot, she watched Lily move through the messy yard, talking softly to neighbors, her voice never rising in anger or fear. She saw a small boy, who had been crying for hours, finally giggle when Lily made a funny face. Daisy felt a strange pull in her chest. A tiny crack appeared in her wall of worry. While she still felt overwhelmed, a little bit of Lily's peacefulness started to seep into her own troubled heart, making the tight knot of fear loosen just a tiny bit. For the first time, Daisy wondered if there was another way to face big problems, a way she hadn't known. As the first day after the storm ended and a new, chilly night fell, Daisy watched Lily light a single candle in their small, damaged living room. The flickering light danced on Lily's face, making her look even more serene. Daisy, still slumped on the floor, felt a deep tiredness in her bones. She had spent the day trying to fix a small part of their roof, but the wind kept tearing at the temporary fix, and her efforts felt useless. Lily, however, had spent her day helping others, and now she was simply humming a quiet tune while stirring a meager pot of soup they were sharing. "How can you be so calm, Lily?" Daisy asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Everything is broken. We don't have power. We don't know when things will get better. Aren't you scared?" Lily looked at her sister, her eyes soft in the candlelight. "Of course, I feel the worry, Daisy," she admitted. "But then I remember my verse. You prepare a table before me, my cup overflows. It reminds me that even when things are bad, there's always something good, something to be thankful for. And it tells me that I'm not alone, that there's a bigger plan." She gestured to the simple soup. "See? We have warm food. We have each other. Our neighbors are helping each other." Daisy looked at the steaming soup, then at Lily's peaceful face. It wasn't just words. Lily truly seemed to believe it. Daisy had spent the whole day feeling her cup was empty, but Lily somehow felt full. For the first time, Daisy didn't just dismiss Lily's belief as silly. She looked at the wreckage around them, and then at her sister's quiet peace, and a tiny question began to bloom in her heart. Could there really be something to Lily's special verse? Could it truly make such a difference? The idea felt strange, yet oddly comforting. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a hopeful light on the damaged town. Daisy still felt heavy, but the tiny seed of curiosity planted by Lily's words had begun to sprout. As Lily prepared to go out again, gathering a few more useful items, she turned to Daisy. "Mrs. Gable's roof has a big hole, and she can't reach the tarp that blew off her shed. Would you like to come with me? Even just holding the ladder would be a big help." Daisy hesitated. Her first thought was about their own broken window, the branches still needing to be cleared. But then she remembered Lily's calm face, her words about a bigger plan. Slowly, she nodded. "All right," she said, a little surprised by her own answer. When they arrived at Mrs. Gable's, the elderly woman looked tired and sad. "Oh, Lily, I just don't know what to do," she sighed, pointing to the gaping hole in her roof. Lily, with Daisy's help, carefully climbed a small ladder. Daisy, holding it steady, watched as Lily skillfully tied the tarp into place, covering the hole. It was a simple task, but it made a huge difference. "Oh, thank you, Mrs. Gable cried, her eyes filling with happy tears. "I was so worried. Now I can rest tonight." Seeing the relief on Mrs. Gable's face, Daisy felt a warmth spread through her own chest, a feeling different from the satisfaction of finishing a chore. It was the joy of truly helping someone. She realized that by holding that ladder, a small act, she had been part of something big. It wasn't about fixing everything perfectly, but about making a small part of someone's world better. The knot in her stomach eased a little more. After helping Mrs. Gable, Daisy felt a tiny shift inside her. It wasn't that all her worries vanished, but they didn't feel as heavy. Walking home with Lily, she noticed things she hadn't before. The way the sun made puddles sparkle, the chirping of a bird trying to build a new nest. Her mind wasn't just on what was broken, but on the small bits of beauty that remained. "It felt good, didn't it?" Lily asked softly, as if reading Daisy's thoughts. Daisy nodded. "Yes, but it's still a mess." "Lily, there's so much more to do." Lily smiled gently. "And we will do it bit by bit. But even now, we can be thankful for the good we find." That's what Psalm chapter 23 verse 5 means to me. Even when things are tough, even when there are enemies or problems all around, there's still a table prepared, a cup that can overflow with small joys and kindnesses. Daisy thought about Mrs. Gable's grateful smile, about the warm feeling in her own heart. She started to see that good things didn't have to be perfect. They could be a tarp on a roof, a shared can of beans, or the simple act of holding a ladder. It wasn't about everything being fixed right away, but about finding moments of hope and helping each other through. A new, quiet feeling began to settle over Daisy, like a soft blanket. It wasn't happiness exactly, but a gentle peace. She realized that maybe, just maybe, trusting that things would get better and helping others along the way was a much lighter way to live than trying to fix every single thing all by herself. Her cup, which she always thought was half empty, now seemed to hold a little more. Days turned into a week, and slowly Willow Creek began to mend. The sound of hammers replaced the sad drips of water, and laughter, though still soft, started to return. People worked together, sharing tools, food, and stories. The spirit of kindness that Lily had quietly started spread like warm sunshine after a cold rain. Both sisters played their part in the town's recovery, but in very different ways. Daisy, with her strong will and careful planning, was excellent at organizing. She made lists of what needed fixing, figured out which tools were needed, and helped clear away big piles of branches. She worked tirelessly, her hands calloused from effort, making sure things got done right. Before, this work would have left her feeling utterly exhausted and worried, but now a subtle change had taken place. Lily continued to be the heart of comfort. She brought warm tea to tired workers, sang songs to soothe restless children, and offered encouraging words when spirits drooped. She didn't fix roofs with her hands, but she mended hearts with her gentle spirit. And as she worked, her heart remained light, full of belief that every small act of goodness was a part of that overflowing cup. Daisy still worked hard, but her brow wasn't as furrowed. She still made lists, but she didn't clutch them quite so tightly. When a new problem arose, she found herself taking a deep breath, sometimes even remembering Lily's peaceful words. She was still Daisy, a doer and a planner, but she was doing it with a tiny bit more trust, a little less fear, and a much lighter heart than before. The town was rebuilding, and so, in her own quiet way, was Daisy. One evening, as the last of the damaged wood was cleared from their yard, Daisy sat beside Lily on their porch swing. The air was cool and smelled of fresh earth. For the first time in a long time, Daisy felt truly relaxed. She looked at Lily, whose eyes were gazing peacefully at the stars. "You know, Lily," Daisy began, her voice soft, "I used to think you were just dreamy. That your verse was just a nice thought, but not for real life." She paused, picking at a loose thread on her dress. "But when the storm hit, and everything felt so big and scary, I saw how your belief made you strong. And it made you help others without even thinking about yourself." Lily turned to her, a gentle smile on her face. "It's not about being dreamy, Daisy. It's about knowing you're not alone. It's about trusting that even when things are bad, there's always a way for good to find you and for your heart to still be full." Daisy nodded slowly. "I'm starting to understand. When I was trying to fix everything by myself, I just got more scared. But when I helped Mrs. Gable and saw everyone helping each other, it felt less scary. Like there really is a table being prepared, even if we have to set some of the dishes ourselves." She reached for Lily's hand and squeezed it. "Maybe my cup can overflow too, even if it's not perfect." From that day on, Daisy didn't stop being a planner, but her planning came with less worry. She still worked hard, but she remembered to take breaks, to enjoy the small joys, and to look for ways to help others, just like Lily. When a challenge came, she would pause, take a deep breath, and sometimes she'd even whisper the words, "My cup overflows," finding a quiet comfort in Psalm chapter 23, verse 5, making her life a lot less scary and a lot more peaceful.